All right, so the next video is going to be carrier prep, pre-install prep, everything you're going to need to put it in. Like I said in a couple previous videos in my post, I couldn't have done this with the rear end because they were cutting trees down out here. So they cut those two trees down and made a huge mess, and it was just really loud all day. So, but the rear end's done. We just got to wait for the sensor, and then service it, and now that'll be good to go. So for the carrier, in order to put the carrier in, you're going to need your caps, of course, nice and clean, and make sure that the arrows go outboard when you put it in. You're going to need small bearing shims. I've got a whole bunch of shims. This is probably 2 or 3 boxes worth of shims here. Large carrier bearing shims. If you have a small impact, it works really well to help put these in, because you're going to just make them tight. You're not going to torque them as you put these in to check your pinion depth, and the same with doing your lash. You're going to need a dial indicator of some sort. This style has got a push rod in the back, and as you push down on it, the needle moves. This is how most of them work. But you're gonna need something similar to this or this. You're gonna need it in 1,000 thousandths increments. The resolution will have to be 1,000th, and it's gonna need to be able to be preloaded. So when we set it up, you're gonna set it up with a little preload, and then this has got an adjustable 0 on it. You can turn the top, and so we can set 0 wherever we want. And then a clamp to hold the indicator, so then when we get it down there, we can find a tooth that's going to work, where we can put this piece on the end of the tooth, and check our lash. You also need some gear marking compound. I ran out of the yellow gear marking compound, so you can go to Napa or get on Amazon or something and buy Prussian blue. It serves the same purpose. Prussian blue is really good for just finding defects in any mating surface. It's really good for metal mating surfaces. That's why it works so well for doing gears. What we'll do here is, I guess I grabbed the wrong one. This was a new one. I just opened one yesterday or the day before. So what we'll do here is we'll paint these gears real quick, and we'll get it prepped. See if I can set the phone up without it falling down. There we go. So we get this painted. And you only want to paint, 5 or 6 teeth. There's no science to this. Just get them covered. Make sure you do the drive side and the coast side. So we're going to do this side, and then we'll roll it over and do this side as well. So there's no science to this, just get it covered. And that should be enough. Okay, and you said you Prussian blue or the yellow gear marking compound, either one works great. Now that we've painted our gear, we can get ready to set it in place. So you want to make sure you have your races, obviously, make sure they're clean. The mounting faces are clean. Make sure your shims are clean. Make sure your bearing cap, the interface here, is clean. You don't want any material on any of those mounting faces. Let's see, what else? And make sure the housing's clean, right? You're gonna want to make sure the housing's clean where the bearings go. As far as prep to put it in, that's really about it. The locker itself can be in any position when it goes back on. the coil. Just when we roll it in there, this will be facing out, of course, so we don't break it. Other than that, we are ready to set it in. Brett is coming to help me make the video for shimming this. While we are talking about shims for a second, there is no measurement where you have to necessarily take 30 thousandths or 130 thousandths of shim. Basically, we're going to set this carrier in, and we're going to push the teeth close together, and then we're just going to fill the gap in between the housing and this race with shim, and we'll fill the other gap with shim. I'm not going to measure them. I'm just going to fill the gaps with shim until I get my lash correct. Once the lash is correct, especially on the small bearing side, because that's the side that's going to be pushing the carrier this way, then I'll fill the rest of the gap on the large bearing side, so there is no lateral movement of the carrier assembly, and it's in there nice and tight. And if you have too much lash, then you subtract from this side and then you add to this side. That's the only time that we would really take a measurement. Other than that, it's not like setting the pinion depth with doing any math. This one, there's no math really required to do it. You just fill the gap with shim, and the goal is to get the lash correct. But we're going to get it in there tight enough, and then I'm going to check the pinion pattern first. So there's a couple patterns that I usually check. I throw the carrier in. We'll get the teeth close together, really close together. Fill the gap with the shim, and then we'll check the pinion depth to make sure that it's in an acceptable spot on the ring gear. And once I know that the pinion depth is okay, then I'll finish shimming and do the lash, because there's no point in shimming for backlash if we have to take the pinion back out. So check pinion depth first, then do backlash. Let's see, I guess that's it. Let's get it going. Brett should be here any minute to help me make this next video so I can roll the carrier in. Other than that, we'll see you guys in a few minutes.